The phrase, passing of the torch, has been used to describe when one will give the responsibilities, position, or knowledge onto someone else. In Star Trek Generations, Picard watches Kirk die, leading to the films to continue with the cast of the Next Generation. The early seasons of Power Rangers would replace characters by having them give their powers to new cast members joining the show. When a main character is killed or is dying, the new hero must take up the mantle to keep the legacy going. In the original Transformers the movie, of course I'm diving into spoiler territory here if it isn't already common knowledge at this point, Optimus Prime on his deathbed passes the literal torch, the Matrix of Leadership, to Ultra Magnus. Unfortunately for him,
I can't deal with that now.
He loses the Matrix to Galvatron. By the film's end, Hot Rod takes on the title of being Prime,
Optimus.
using the Matrix to
Now, light our darkest hour.
Consider supporting the channel on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us bring you more content like this. The Matrix of Leadership, in most continuities, is carried by the leader of the Autobots. It is considered a sacred artifact, and usually acts as a conduit to Primus, the core of Cybertron and the creator god of all Transformers. As such, it can serve as a means of accessing the Transformers' afterlife.
We're all are one.
And the bearer of the Matrix can access the wisdom of past primes from within the Matrix itself.
Do not forget what you've learned of our past, Optimus. From its lessons, the future is forged.
The concept of the Matrix began in the original G1 Marvel Comics. Since Bob Budiansky was told initially that there were to be no female Transformers, he had to come up with creative methods to create new characters. As such, the creation matrix was described by Budiansky as one of several ways Transformers can reproduce. But that's a discussion for another day. Optimus Prime was encoded with the creation matrix, and with it could give life to new Transformers. Shockwave used its power to give life to the Constructicons. But before Shockwave could give life to Jetfire, Optimus Prime transferred the power of the Matrix into the mind of Buster Witwicky. This caused him to be able to move metal objects, and was used to reprogram Jetfire to not serve Shockwave. Once Optimus Prime was restored and the Matrix returned to him, he fully gave life to Jetfire. When the Autobots built the Aerial Bots, they were given life by Optimus Prime's creation matrix as well. However, by using one of Bombshell's Cerebro shells, Megatron used the power of the creation matrix to give life to the Stunticons. In the original cartoon, introducing the concept of the Matrix began in early drafts of Transformers the movie. Ron Friedman was very vocal about killing off Optimus Prime. Initially in his script, he used the term life spark to describe the living essence of a Transformer, which could explain where the UK comics made the mistake of saying that Cyclonus was originally named Lifespark. It was later shortened to just Spark in Beast Wars, and all future Transformers series thereafter. But that, of course, is a discussion for another day. Friedman's concept was that the Autobot leader will literally pass on, giving his life spark to the next leader. This was then reworked into the Matrix of Leadership, of course taking the term from the creation matrix in the comics. The Matrix of Leadership is a physical object passed on to the next leader of the Autobots. While the cartoon's version does not give new Transformers life, since that was reserved for Vector Sigma, it does act as a connection to the Transformers' afterlife. During the show's third season, Rodimus Prime could communicate with previous Autobot leaders, helping him to learn about the Quintessons. When the Autobots found Optimus Prime alive as a Quintesson-controlled zombie in the episode Dark Awakening, Rodimus Prime returned the Matrix to its previous bearer. This would transform Rodimus back into Hot Rod.
All right, Hot Rod is back. Let's party!
Since his upgrade was caused by the power of the Matrix. The same also worked to undo the Quintesson mind control as Hot Rod desperately fought to stop his former leader.
Again, Matrix makes me too strong. Now there's a unique complaint.
And to save the Autobot fleet from a Quintesson trap.
If you lose, Autobots all destroyed.
Finally, the power of the Matrix would restore Optimus Prime's spark, and he would return the Matrix of leadership back to Hot Rod.
But you will save them. Rodimus Prime.
Before he would go on a kamikaze run. During the events of the return of Optimus Prime, a hate plague infected everyone, including Rodimus Prime.
Would you like to be a pepper too?
Optimus Prime was restored to life, and he realized that without the Matrix of Leadership,
Without the Matrix of Leadership, I no longer possess the accumulated wisdom of our ancient leaders. But if I can regain the Matrix, perhaps an answer can be found.
to reclaim the Matrix, Optimus Prime teamed up with Galvatron.
You told me it was important, but you didn't tell me why.
That's because I know you too well, Galvatron.
To coat himself with a heat-resistant alloy so that he can reclaim the Matrix from Rodimus Prime. Speaking with previous leaders from within the Matrix, Optimus searched for answers on how to cure the plague. His solution would be to drain the Matrix of Leadership's accumulated wisdom into the universe, curing the plague completely. But the shell of the Matrix was empty, leaving everyone a little wiser, but it would need to be recharged. The Japanese continuity would continue where the return of Optimus Prime left off, ignoring the Rebirth with their own series, The Headmasters. In this series, the balance of Vector Sigma was thrown off because of Optimus Prime emptying the Matrix. To recharge it, Optimus Prime hid it in a power station on Earth to take life energy from the planet. While Optimus Prime is on a quest to check on Vector Sigma, Fortress Maximus arrives, telling the Autobots that they need to use the Matrix to properly bring back balance. Hot Rod attempts to contact Prime without success, and so the young Autobot begins a quest to find the Matrix. Once he does, Hot Rod would bring it to Vector Sigma, where the ghost of Alpha Trion would merge with the Matrix, recharging it. The Matrix would then transform Hot Rod back into Rodimus Prime. For the first time, the two Primes would battle the Decepticons together, side by side, before Optimus Prime would sacrifice himself again to bring balance back to Vector Sigma. Instead of the Japanese Headmasters, the US series finale was a 3-part episode, The Rebirth. Optimus Prime began seeing visions as a result of emptying the Matrix. After the Decepticons' attack, stealing the key to the plasma energy chamber, Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus travel to Vector Sigma for answers. Optimus Prime used the shell of the Matrix to connect with Vector Sigma, and spoke with Alpha Trion for the answers he sought.
Nebulous, that which you seek is there.
This connection also hints that Vector Sigma is more than just a supercomputer,
How do you know this, Alpha Trion?
Vector Sigma itself.
as it is part of Primus, the creator god of all Transformers.
Alpha Trion? It makes no sense.
Do not question Vector Sigma's motives.
While this isn't directly stated in the cartoon, the comics took this a step further, retconning the creation matrix to be a physical object. This would bear resemblance to the cartoon's Matrix of Leadership. Here we learn that Primus bestowed upon his creation his essence of goodness and his power so that the Transformers could destroy Unicron and live on without him. Transformers that had an affinity for it were worthy to bear its power. The former bearers themselves would be listed as Prima, Prime Nova, Sentinel Prime, and Optimus Prime. When Optimus Prime died after losing in a computer game, his body was sent into deep space, while Ethan Zachary kept his mind on a floppy disk. While he was revived using that disk as a Power Master in a new body, his original body still had that physical creation matrix within his chest. This would be a retcon to Shockwave's statement that the creation matrix is passed on to new leaders every 10 millennia. The Autobots would then begin the Matrix quest to find the missing artifact when they learn that Unicron is headed to Cybertron after they accidentally woke up Primus during a battle with the Decepticons. Also in pursuit of the creation matrix is Thunderwing, a powerful Decepticon pretender who leads his own team of Decepticons. Thunderwing is also the first known Decepticon with an affinity for the Matrix, granting him the ability to sense its presence in the hunt for the relic. Because of the collection of the essences of previous leaders, the Matrix itself desired new sensations other than pure goodness. It would transform a medical mechanoid into the Deathbringer, a being hell-bent on destroying all life. While we only saw it in flashbacks in the US comics, the UK stories told of how the Deathbringer was thwarted by the Autobots. A smaller alien creature would then be recreated into the Matrix spawn, a predatory monster that killed aimlessly. When found, the Autobots and Decepticons battled it to reclaim the Matrix until Thunderwing killed off the creature and claimed the power of the Matrix for his own. With its power, Thunderwing battled Optimus Prime aboard the Ark, overpowering the Autobot leader and the rest of the Autobots. Using an Autobot shuttle inside the Ark, Nightbeat fired a harpoon into Thunderwing, while Hosehead opened the shuttle bay doors and turned off the artificial gravity. The shuttle, along with Thunderwing, were dragged into space, and Nightbeat set the shuttle to self-destruct along with Thunderwing. However, this wasn't the end of Thunderwing. When Unicron finally arrived at Cybertron, he began to destroy and eat all in his path. Still alive after his battle aboard the Ark, Thunderwing returned. Powered by the evil-possessed Matrix, he attempted to attack Unicron before the Chaosbringer tore him apart. Optimus Prime would then take the creation matrix, purging it from evil, and fly directly into Unicron's maw. The light of the Matrix would cause Unicron to explode, bringing us yet another death of Optimus Prime. The origins of the Matrix in the comics would explain why it was the weapon that could destroy Unicron, lighting their darkest hour. This also would explain what happened when Scourge got his hands on the Matrix in the episode The Burden Hardest to Bear. While the Matrix gave Scourge power, his body was warped and covered in welts since he was rebuilt by Unicron. Fortunately, Hot Rod would defeat the tainted Decepticon, reclaiming the Matrix and once again becoming Rodimus Prime.
Not just the Matrix Cup, a missing part of myself.
In the Marvel UK stories, alternate future events following Transformers the movie would have Rodimus Prime leading the Autobots with the looming threat of Unicron's return. This was also the first time we learned of the history between Unicron and Primus, which I covered previously. In the Dreamwave comics, the nature of the Matrix was considered a mystery to the Council of Ancients when an Autobot data archivist named Optronics was selected as its new bearer. Upon receiving the Matrix of Leadership, Optronics became Optimus Prime. Millions of years later, in the story War and Peace, Shockwave battled Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus. The One-Eyed Decepticon's plan was to use the Matrix to unlock all the vast secrets within Vector Sigma. His plan was thwarted by Prime and an armorless Ultra Magnus. Outside of G1, the Matrix of Leadership has appeared in almost every Transformers universe since its original inception. In 2001's Robots in Disguise, Optimus Prime was chosen by Vector Sigma to be the new leader of the Autobots, and was given the Matrix. His brother, Ultra Magnus, was jealous and wanted the Matrix for himself. When attempting to steal it from his brother, Ultra Magnus merged with Optimus Prime, becoming Omega Prime. In Transformers Armada, Optimus Prime was killed after being blasted by the Hydra Cannon. All that was left was his Minicon partner, Sparkplug, clinging to the Matrix of Leadership. Later, a group of Minicons would use their energies along with the Matrix to bring Optimus Prime back to life. In Transformers Cybertron, Optimus Prime used the Matrix along with Vector Prime's sword to open portals to other Cybertronian colony worlds during their quest for the 4 Cyber Planet Keys. The Matrix has shown up in Transformers Animated, the live-action films, the Align continuity, the IDW comics, and the Prime Wars trilogy. All of them expand upon the use of the Matrix, but that, with the length of this video, is a discussion for another day. In Beast Wars, Megatron blasted Optimus Prime to change history in favor of the Decepticons and the Predacons.
Well, that's just Prime.
Oh, what's left of them anyway?
In order to save Prime and the timeline, Optimus Primal would take Optimus Prime's spark and insert it into his body, giving Optimus Primal an optimal upgrade.
Ah, I see we have a new optimal Optimus to deal with, and carrying Prime's spark as well.
While the effect was permanent, Prime's spark casing was animated to look like the Matrix of Leadership. This caused a lot of confusion at the time, and to many still today. Even the way it is taken from Prime's chest is reminiscent of how Prime passed the Matrix in the movie. The showrunners admitted that this was a mistake on their part, since the animators used the movie as a reference, not knowing its significance. It was even remedied with the 3H BotCon comic story, Primeval Dawn, where it's revealed that what we saw was Optimus Prime's spark holder, while smaller, is shaped like the Matrix to hide the real one underneath. This probably could explain where the Matrix was in the episode Divide and Conquer. When Optimus Prime was damaged during a battle with the Decepticons, Wheeljack and Ratchet rushed to repair him. Laserbeak snuck into the Ark and blasted Prime with his chest open, causing an explosion. While the concept of the Matrix of Leadership and sparks were not yet part of the cartoon,
Oh, yes. But can you guarantee his laser core was extinguished?
we can safely assume that they were present but not visible, and that he was lucky his spark was not damaged in the explosion, like it was when Megatron blasted Prime in the movie. Not to mention that between scenes were various animation errors concerning Prime's chest. But what do you think? Where was the Matrix during the events of Divide and Conquer? Is the spark holder scene in Beast Wars a viable excuse for both shows' animation mistakes? And what is the real significance to the Matrix of Leadership? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I would like to thank my patrons for all your support. I have more Transformers discussion videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
It wasn't my fault! It was the Matrix!
The Matrix.
And this too is the fault of the Matrix!